Indiana, Michael Jackson was born here. Indiana, but he escaped. Hello, welcome to Indianarama, not the podcast that Indiana needs, but the one it deserves. I'm your host, Kent Kaiser, and as always, this is my producer, Steven. I'd say that he's waving through the glass of the sound booth, but it appears that instead of listening, he is playing Tetris. Steven? Steven? Steven. What an asshole. Speaking of assholes, in our top story tonight, corruption in City Hall. Has the governor allocated state funds towards his own private business venture? For more, we cut to our correspondent on City Hall's steps. There's no correspondent. Where were you when I was saying your name, Steven? Huh. That's interesting, because I could see you were playing Tetris on your phone. Did you have fun? Good. Good. Glad somebody's enjoying this. Anyway, so I guess we go to our other story tonight. Local superstar Greg Kinnear founds world's largest dog park. Claims that film about founding said dog park is unlikely. One might call this the death rattle of his career, a swift move in one direction that will be inevitably followed by nothing else. But as Mr. Kinnear has proven in the past, his career is much like my parents' marriage. It just won't end. Ever. What's that, Stephen? I'll stop talking like that when you prove somebody's listening, Stephen. In other news, according to local clergymen, there is still no evidence of gay people. After the recent discovery of receipts from Bucking Broncos Burley Bar for Biblical Bears, they also claimed that they were holding them for a friend. In their words, a friend who is not a gay friend, because we don't have any gay friends, because that is impossible. All right, now for the news that will appease those of you frightened by the unknown and easily entertained by jingling keys. A baby born in Gary, Indiana this week has been named Gary. Despite all evidence to the contrary, the parents say that they do love him, they just don't love him enough. Is that all we have? Well, I could go into the weather, I guess. Normally, that's another guy's thing. All right, for the weather this week, we are looking at gray, cloudy, and dark skies to continue all throughout this week, and then till the end of time. I can't do sports, Steven. Well, I'll try. Okay, in sports this week, the Indianapolis 500 is still not happened yet. We're waiting for that. My nephew's Little League team was absolutely slaughtered by the other team. My nephew cried on the outside, but his parents were crying on the inside, for they knew that any sort of affection that they had once had for their child was now dead. All right, as always, we couldn't be here without our sponsors, and today our sponsor is the Harnell White Institute for a Pure Environment. Together, we can attempt to halt the effects of climate change and take massive steps together into a brighter tomorrow, today. A future that is free of... I'm not reading this, Stephen. No, I don't care that they're our sponsor. That's weird, racist blood money. What do you mean they're our only sponsor? I've got a whole list of promotions here. Waterhorse, Legend of the Deep, out December 25th. Jermaine Jackson's Rockin' Rockers. All owned by the Harnell White Institute. Or a Walt Disney fantasy comedy about the Loch Ness Monster that came out in 2007. Fantastic. The Harnell White Institute for a Pure Environment. Together, we can attempt to halt the effects of climate change and take massive steps together into a brighter tomorrow, today. A future that is free of not white people. Change frightens me. I don't like change. Climate change, I don't like it. Make it stop. Also our sponsor today, Jermaine Jackson's Rockin' Rockers. Do you love your grandchildren? Do you love sitting on your porch in your rocking chair? Are you afraid that sitting on your porch in your rocking chair, as your grandchildren slowly grow to hate you and everything you were raised to represent lost its appeal? Well, fear no more. Jermaine Jackson's Rockin' Rockers takes the rocking chair experience and turns it on its head, much like Jermaine Jackson did to music. Every time you rock back and forth, it plays another Jermaine Jackson classic, such as That's How Love Goes, Daddy's Home, Let's Get Serious, Let Me Tickle Your Fancy, featuring Devo, and Word to the Bad. Are you frightened of losing all love for the generations that came after you? Does the idea of stagnating and not really learning anything in your twilight years appeal to you on a deep, profound level? When you look at modern music, does it frighten you and make you want to crawl up into a little ball like the huge wrinkled fetus that you are? Then maybe Jermaine Jackson's Rockin' Rockers are the right product for you. I don't know about that other stuff, but all that stuff about Jermaine Jackson being a classic musician seems a little dishonest. I know they paid us, Steven. God. Alright, tonight our interview is with Johnny Pastrami, the banjo king of Half Moon Springs. We'll be cutting to my interview with him in 3, 2... Thank you for agreeing to have this interview, Johnny.
You're welcome.
I'm just gonna jump right into these questions. Now, as a musician, what was it that drove you to the banjo?
I was told we were going to focus on my upcoming play.
I just figured, you know, just to get a musical profile of you, we might focus on the banjo first and then get into the play.
I mean, the play isn't a musical, so I'm not really sure how that relates to my music.
Well, you're here promoting the play, but if you didn't want to be associated with the banjo, why would you ask to be introduced as the king of banjos?
Like what, you think Jack Black is black? You think Yo-Yo Ma wants people to ask him if he's good at yo-yos? You think Brad Pitt wants people to ask him about the pit he keeps in his backyard filled with corpses? It's a name, Kent. Don't judge people based on what they're called.
Yeah, but that's their actual name. Like, Yo-Yo Ma didn't choose to be called Yo-Yo Ma. You called a half hour ago and told me explicitly that you wanted to be called, and I wrote this down, Johnny Pastrami, the banjo king of Half Moon Springs.
See, I don't know what you're all hung up about, and I don't know what you're doing with all these questions, but I didn't come here to be asked questions. I came here to be interviewed.
Fantastic. What is your play about?
Honestly, my play is a huge story. It crosses socioeconomic boundaries. It makes you reconsider what you previously thought the world was. And to, summarize it in one sentence, I feel would short sell it, but if I had to, War and Peace meets Small Soldiers.
Fantastic. And what nights is this going to be playing?
Every night this month at the William Henry Harrison Chuckle Hut on Main Street.
That's too bad. I'm busy. Thank you for stopping by.
You're welcome.
Wow, what a fantastic interview. I had a lot of fun doing that interview with that person. He is somebody who I love, and I do not hate him in any capacity. I just wanted to make that clear. Stephen did not ask me to say that. I wanted to say that of my own volition. That was my decision to say that I do not hate Johnny Pastrami. He's a decent person, and he was not confusing, and he did not make the interview needlessly difficult, and his voice was not high-pitched and weird. I love Johnny Pastrami. All of his music is great. Banjo Boogaloo, controversial, yes, but amazing? I mean, a lot of people do think it is amazing. I mean, personally, I think the racial stuff in there is a little weird, but isn't that what made banjo exciting to begin with? You never know when you're listening to the banjo whether or not the person playing the banjo is a racist, and that's what's great about it. He's a great fella, and I mean, honestly, listen, everybody is not for everybody. We're all, we're shooting through life like guns at a preschool. That, I did not mean that. Alright, as always, I've been Kent Kaiser, and if there's really anyone out there listening, I resent you.